Y ahora quiero presentar la banda sonora de la película más reciente de uno de los genios del cine, el maestro Woody Allen. La película se llama Un golpe de suerte. Es una historia de amor, de infidelidad, pero como siempre, con un toque de jazz, de humor y de una de las ciudades favoritas del señor Allen, la ciudad de París. A esta hora es un honor saludar a ese genio del cine. En vivo y en directo nos acompaña Woody Allen. Mr. Allen, good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you right now?
I'm in my library.
Está en la biblioteca de su casa. Mr. Allen, before we talk about your last movie, I would love to talk about your relation with jazz. I have seen you at the Carlyle Hotel, but I have seen your movies always with jazz. How did it start, this relation between you and the jazz?
I like jazz, all kinds of jazz, particularly New Orleans jazz, but all kinds of jazz. And it's just something I listened to when I was 15 years old, 14 years old, and I took an immediate liking to it. And I decided to take up an instrument and play. You know, I play very badly, but I'm an amateur, but I play for fun.
And always in your movies, you need a jazz music.
Well, a lot of them, yes, a lot of them, but not always jazz music. I've had many other kinds of music in my movies. I've had very romantic music. You know, Manhattan had the New York Philharmonic, and I've had classical music, but a number of them have had jazz music in it because it's probably, you know, the most comfortable for me personally.
In your last movie, Un toque de suerte, Coup de chance, there is an answer that I didn't find in the movie. In the movie, you are talking about luck. And in the movie, the couple buy a lottery ticket. But I don't have the answer. They won the lottery or they won't?
I'm not sure I heard that. Can you ask it again?
Yes. In the movie, the couple, they have a lottery ticket. And I don't know if they won that lottery. They did it or they did not.
Yeah, I can only tell you that, you know, we play the lottery, my wife and myself, that I do feel that it's very important to be lucky in life. And we don't expect to win the lottery, but we play it all the time, and you know, it's fun. I mean, I bet on horse races. I bet on the lottery because I enjoy it, and I don't expect to win. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But that is what life is made up of.
But what happened with the ticket in this movie? Was a winner ticket?
Oh, you can be pretty sure that the ticket was not a winning ticket because the odds of getting a winning ticket are so astronomically stacked against you that it's very difficult. You can pretty much, when you buy a lottery ticket, you can pretty much pay for it and throw it away immediately. And you can do that your whole life, and you probably won't harm yourself.
Where did you find the story for this movie?
Oh, I make them up. That's why they pay me. I make up stories and then I write them out, and some of them are good and some of them are not as good. But there have been enough good ones over the years, so I've been able to earn a living at it. But that's what I do. I write stories.
But this story is based on a real fact or is in your imagination?
No, no, they're my imagination. Almost all the stories, almost all, not all, but almost all, have been completely, excuse me, made up fabrications. I sit and make them up, you know, once in a great while. A movie like, let's say, Blue Jasmine, my wife told me a story, and so I based it on that story. But almost all the time, I just make them up.
Mr. Allen, you mentioned our city in the film, Bogota, the capital of Colombia. Have you been here? What have you heard about our country?
Colombia?
Yeah, and our city, Bogota, you mentioned in the film. You mentioned our city right there in the film.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was friendly with Garcia Marquez when he was alive, and he very frequently tried to get me to come to Colombia to come to a film festival, to enter Colombia Film Festival, and we talked about it, and I'm not a big traveler. I don't like to travel very much, so I never really did it. But if he had lived longer, perhaps eventually he would have talked me into it.
Mr. Allen, there was a phrase in the movie that stated that some affairs are better left unknown. That, love affairs can end up briefly and people have successful marriages without knowing. Do you believe that this is true, that ignorance is a blessing in many subjects, specifically in love matters?
Well, it can be. I don't think it usually is, but it certainly can be that someone has a very quick affair with someone, whether it's one night or 1 month or 1 year, and the spouse never finds out about it, and then the person returns to a marriage that was happy enough most of the time to keep going, and sometimes if a husband or a wife strays for an evening or a weekend or whatever, and their spouse never finds out about it, it's fine. It may be worse and more destructive if the person does find out about it and the whole marriage gets wrecked. uh, so I can see there would be instances where if it just happens quickly and goes away and doesn't really shake the foundation of the marriage, then it's probably just as well that nobody says anything about it and it's come and gone and they move on with their life.
Mr. Allen, talking about a topic that we see a lot in Coup de Chance, I would like to ask you about luck and about destiny. Do you believe in luck or you think we build up our own destiny?
Yes, I'm a big believer in luck. I think it's that life is not all luck by any means. I mean, it's very important to work hard and to discipline yourself and try and contribute as much as you can. But you also have to understand there's limits to what you can do, and much of life is out of your hands, no matter how hard you try and eat the right food or do the right exercise or make the right choices. A lot of it is luck, and it's a scary thought because people like to think that they make their luck and that they have more control over things. If they do the right thing, things will break more, beneficially to them. But it's not always so. You can do everything right, and if you're unlucky, that's bad. That's why I had said this in one film. It was quoting some baseball player years ago who said, "I would rather be lucky than good, because you can be good and have a miserable life, and you can be inept, but if you're lucky, you can have a wonderful life."
Están escuchando a Woody Allen en directo desde su casa, el director de la película Un golpe de suerte, Juan Pablo.
Mr. Allen, do you miss playing the main character of your movies?
The main character of this movie?
Of this movie and other previous movies in which, well, we may understand that because of the age, you don't play the main character.
Oh, I don't play the main character because, I'm too old to play the characters that I would be good at playing. Now I'm just too old to play those characters. I I could play the lead character in some movies if the story was naturally about someone or required someone of my age. I could play a part in one of my movies, even a lead part, if the story was about someone in my general age group. I can cheat a few years either way, but I can't play 70 years old or 60 years old. I mean, it'd be silly. So if something comes along, if an idea comes along where I can play it, I would play it. But you get many less ideas when you get older, because the central theme of so many films are relationships with women, men, romantic relationships, even if they're not romantic, jealous relationships or hostile relationships. But so I'm sort of out of that age group. If what I'd like to play, if I had my choice, but the idea has not come to me, I'd love to play a nice, funny comedy with me in it, where it would not be a serious film, where I could just be funny in it. But no idea has come to me at this moment where I could fulfill that ambition.
Mr. Allen, I have seen a lot of your movies. Not all, but a lot of your movies. But always, I have seen your movies in a theater. I saw this movie in my house. Are you worried that the plan to go to the movie, go to the theater, is going to be over very soon?
I have a hard time understanding what you're saying, because there's something wrong with your microphone, and I don't always hear what you say clearly. The lady's microphone was much clearer than your microphone, so I could understand her more easily. But I can't get all the words you say all the time, because it's not clear to me.
Our apologies. What he's asking, Mr. Allen, is if you are worried that the movie theaters are going to go away because people are starting to watch movies at their home. Like, for example, this movie, we watched it at home. Are you worried about the future of movie theaters?
Yes, I think I'm worried about the present. It's a terrible situation. Those of us who grew up with the general ritual of going to the movies at least once a week, sometimes more, it's a terrible thing. The movie houses in New York City have closed, so many of them. And I know it's tempting for people to just go into their living room or their bedroom and snap on a movie and see it. But those of us who have grown up going to the movies, going to a movie house, and a movie house would be actually large and pretty, and being there with hundreds of other people and experiencing the event with hundreds of other people was a much better experience for me. Now, someone who came along after me would say, no, it's a much better experience not having to sit there with hundreds of people who make noise and stand online. It's much nicer to just sit home on a night when it's raining or cold and just press a button and watch a movie. Our screens are big, very big now. Our sound is wonderful. And so they see it that way. I don't. I come from a different generation. So I'm very depressed at the way the movie business has gone, the presentation of films.
Ana, ya que a usted sí la escucha bien, ¿hay alguna película que él quiera borrar de su historia? ¿Alguna película que él diga, esa película nunca la debía hacer?
Mr. Allen, is there any movie from all the movies that you have done that you would like to delete from your life, that you would like to say, I wish I had not done that movie?
Oh, yes, my God. Yes, I've done 50 movies, and I would say at least 30 of the 50 I would be very happy to destroy forever. But you can't do that. So, if you're a writer of books, you don't like your book, you can tear it up and throw it away. But when you make a film, you've spent somebody's $15 million or whatever it costs, and you can't just throw it away. But many of my films, I would be very happy to get rid of.
Pero que nos diga el nombre de uno.
Can you tell us the name of one?
I hate to do that. I can, but I don't want to. Don't ask me to do that because it will get me started. I mean, the ones I don't like. It's not that I don't like one more than the others. I don't like any of them, and I would just take a batch of about 30 of them or so and bury them forever, and just leave another 20 for the public to enjoy if they enjoy them.
Ana, entonces al revés. ¿Cuál es la película de él que más veces ha visto?
Okay, so let's change it around, Mr. Allen. Which of all your movies is the one that you have seen the most, that you have seen repeatedly more times?
Well, when I make a film, I never ever look at it again when I'm finished with it. So I have not seen any of them at all, none of them, after I put the film out. So my first film was Take the Money and Run. I made it, I think, in 1965 or 1968 or something. And I've never seen it since. I've never seen Annie Hall again. I've never seen Manhattan again. I've never seen any of the films I've made after I've made them. There are some that I like in memory. I mean, if you ask me films of mine I very much liked Purple Rose of Cairo. I liked Midnight in Paris very much. I liked Bullets Over Broadway. There are films of mine that I have a nice feeling about, but I never see them, and I've never seen them since the day I finished them.
Mr. Allen, you do several films in Paris, but it's the first in French with a French cast. Why did you take this decision?
Well, I always wanted to be a European filmmaker. Because when I came of age as a maker of films, all of us idolized the European filmmakers. We loved the French filmmakers and the Swedish and Japanese and the British filmmakers and the ones that were not Americans. They were doing all the great things in film. The Italian filmmakers were so great. And so I always wanted to be a foreign filmmaker. And when someone suggested, I was going to make this film in American, but someone suggested, why not make it in French and as a foreign film? And I didn't think anyone would support me on that. The people that that pay the money for the film, that back the film. I didn't think any of them would like that idea, but they all liked it. They all said, "Oh, that's a great idea. It's your 50th film, and if you want to make it in French, that's fine." So, for me, it was an exciting experience. I loved it, and it fulfilled a long-standing dream of mine.
Mr. Allen, cities play a big part in your movies. You made a beautiful, beautiful movie a few years ago, Midnight in Paris. What does Paris mean for you?
Well, Paris, for the whole world is a city that's very, very romantic and beautiful. It has many connotations, all of them good. All the connotations. Movies set in Paris are always beautiful to look at, and they're always romantic, and it's just one of the great achievements of the human race is the city of Paris. Certainly during the Belle Epoque, Paris was probably the highest achievement of civilization. I mean, it was just astonishing, and it has over the years maintained a very high level of cultural contribution. And so, it's Paris to me is what it means to most Americans: romance, beauty, great achievement, high culture, everything great about it, from the fashions to the food to the films to the Nouvelle Vague, everything about Paris was seductive to Americans.
This is the last question, Mr. Allen. You start to work in 1950 with Mel Brooks. Are you still in contact with Mr. Brooks?
Oh, I'm not in contact. He lives 3,000 miles away in California. But if we run into each other, we've had some wonderful times together, writing on the same show, and I have great affection for him, and he always was wonderful to me when I was starting out, and I have only the best feelings about him, and wish him only the very best. He's a terrific guy, and I have only, as I say, the best things I could say. But we're not in contact because we live a whole country apart. He lives in California, so I don't run into him. I think if he was in New York, and I ran into him, it would be very nice. I'd love to see him, and I'm sure he'd enjoy seeing me. But we just don't live near each other.
Ana, muchas gracias por su tiempo. Mucha suerte con su película. Imaginamos que hoy está con su uniforme en su estudio, en su biblioteca, con su camisa azul, la camiseta blanca, el pantalón khaki, y dígale que deleitamos mucho su delicious and refreshing movie.
Mr. Allen, thank you very much for your time today with us. Thank you very much for this movie. Best of luck.
Sure.
And we imagine today you are, at your library with your usual uniform, a blue
Yes,
shirt?
I'm in my library. This is the room where I have all my books and records, and there's a television screen in here, but I never watch the TV screen in here. I only watch television in bed. But in here are all my books and recordings, records and things, and it's, I don't know, you could call it, the closest thing to describe it would be my library, because it's mostly books.
And do you have many scripts in there as well?
No, my scripts are in my bedroom. Everything I do that's meaningful in the house, I do in the bedroom. I work in the bedroom, watch television in the bedroom, exercise in the bedroom. It's just where I live.
This is a topic of discussion. Do you eat in the bedroom? Eat.
I don't eat in the bedroom. No, I go downstairs to the kitchen or the dining room. I eat, and then I go back upstairs to the bedroom to work.
Okay. Well, Mr. Allen, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck with Coup of the Chance, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.